It's time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
You mentioned your punt team coming out of the BC game.
What did I do?
You were not happy with your punt team going out.
Okay. I didn't know what that word meant. Lamented?
Yeah.
Lamented. That like laminated? I don't know what that means. Lamented. New word. Hey, man, I'm from Alabama. I mean, I don't. It's just a big word. Lamented. I'm gonna write that down. Lamented. I'm gonna tell them I lament y'all. They're gonna look at me just like I'm looking at you, like what? Lamented. Say it again. though. I was mad at the punt team in Boston College.
Yeah, and what did you fix going into the week?
We just punted the ball better.
Well, it's not exactly the heart of hearts questions, but not bad. And you got Dabo caught in a corner there over a big word.
It was a 3-syllable word.
Well, he is from Alabama, remember, and he was publicly educated in the state of Alabama.
I still say he was.
That's a certain handicap he has to.
You know what he was doing? He was telling him, "You coming in here, you northern boy, them big words. Don't think I know what it is. I'll act stupid for you."
Yeah. All right, welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a Monday. It is the week of weeks here in the Palmetto States. The annual Palmetto Bowl coming up on Saturday. We're all over it, of course. Clemson, Carolina, Clemson. Depending on how you want to look at it, the Tigers 25.5-point, 26-point favorites. South Carolina coming off their win over UTC. Clemson coming off their win over Duke. Tigers trying to complete a perfect regular season at 12-0. The Gamecocks trying to end the losing streak to the Tigers, get to 7 wins, and improve their bowl status. So there is so much riding on this game as there is every year. Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, Professor Tom Hayes, and Brian Leonard here to steer you through the week. We are live Monday through Wednesday. Thursday will be our special Thanksgiving USC Clemson preview show. Back live with you on Friday night as we get you ready for the big game as well as the high school playoffs on that night. Tomorrow night, we'll be on the road one final time here in Columbia. Looking forward to being in the Vista for our final stop of our Palmetto preview tour as we look at South Carolina Clemson, and we do it from the Gamecocks' backyard.
We do it. Carolina Ale House is where we will be tomorrow, broadcasting from 6 until 8. We are working on getting some Gamecock-centric guests here. We have reached out to Gamecocks Director of Athletics Ray Tanner and a couple of other guests there. We've already done one up at Clemson, so the South Carolina Clemson game, since we've started doing this in-season tour, has kind of served as our chance to do a show out in Columbia, even though the game this week is at Clemson. But be sure to come out if you are in Columbia or listening on our affiliate 100.7 The Point. Here in Columbia, we will be out there in the Vista at Carolina Ale House tomorrow. Looking forward to all that. I think they're going to put us right there on that awesome patio right there.
Oh, I hope the weather will be great. Kev Cohen will be with us. He makes his return to the sports world with us tomorrow night. The voice of Columbia on The Point Radio. And it'll be his third show of the day because he does mornings, he does afternoons. He'll do a little bit of us tomorrow night on Sports Talk. Looking forward to that. So tonight, it's all about you. 800-956-7266. Going to open up the express lines. And when we open up the express lines, you know what that means. You reach out to us. We stop what we're doing. We could be explaining the word lament to Dabo Swinney. We could be explaining what the word patient means to Will Muschamp. We could be talking to
what does he mean
the
by
King
that,
of Prussia.
What does he mean by when he said that last night? That just
No, I think that's great imaging by him.
Yeah.
And we'll let you hear what he had to say. We'll have a little bit from both coaches tonight to sort of get the week started for you. Zach Willis will be here in hour number 2 with our 1st and 10 with Zach Willis. Coming up at the bottom of this hour, we'll have the 3 questions for you. These are all easy questions. Our Terminex Best or Pest Fan of the Week. The winner receives 4 tickets to DNR's Sportsman's Classic in March. We'll have that coming up at the bottom of the hour very quickly, and we haven't opened the express lines just yet, so we're not violating anybody here. 800-956-7266. Clemson won today in basketball in the Cayman Islands.
72-69, 22 from Shelton Mitchell, 16 from Marquise Reed, 15 and 12 for Elijah Thomas. They get a juicy semifinal matchup with Georgia. They will play them tomorrow at 1:30 in the Cayman Islands. South Carolina goes 1-1 in their tournament at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. They lose to Providence Saturday. They beat George Washington in a game they led by as many as 42 against George Washington, who is still winless on the season. And Furman, Big Bob Ritchie's team, going crazy. 2 victories over teams in last year's Final Four.
Saw that game the other night, and I thought they lost the game when he missed a free throw that could have won in regulation.
Shame on the Columbia Gamecock radio station for not carrying the men's basketball game on Saturday afternoon on their main station.
I had to listen on the Providence radio network on my way up to Clemson.
Driving around Saturday afternoon, 2:30. All right, let's listen to the basketball game. It's not there. They got a couple of local yokels on there previewing the football game 5 hours from kickoff. You mean to tell me you can't put your men's basketball game on the Gamecock station on a Saturday afternoon 5 hours before kickoff of the football game? No wonder Frank Martin believes his program is under
Appreciated.
or undermarketed with your local radio station, your
Was he
so-called
lamenting that too?
flagship. Puts your men's basketball games on a weak AM. And to be quite honest with you, it sounded like not the announcer's fault because they're fine, but it sounded like they were coming through tin cans. The audio quality was horrible. They should be embarrassed. South Carolina should be upset about that if they even care. But shame on the station for doing that. Anyway, congratulations to Wofford for making the FCS playoffs. Furman should have been in there as well. They won 6 of their last 7.
How do you get a share of the conference title and not get into the playoffs? That's stupid.
Well, they didn't get the automatic bid.
I know, but still, it was the same record, and it's a stupid tiebreaker, by the way.
I think they got hurt because they didn't get to play Colgate. That would have been a home game against a good team that really would have looked good on the resume.
Right.
That game got canceled because of the weather. That really hurt them, but they had a good year. The Southern Conference Defensive Player of the Week is Furman's Adrian Hope. Had a good game in that win over Mercer. Big South Players of the Week is Charleston Southern defensive back James Allen, and also Charleston Southern's Justin McIntyre, Special Teams Player of the Week. College football championship odds, the new ones: Alabama's 2-5, Clemson 7-2, Michigan 13-2, Notre Dame 7-1, Georgia is 18-1. As for your Heisman odds, Tango Viola is still 1-4, or is 1-4. He was 2-9. Kyler Murray is 9-2, and 5th on the list is Trevor Lawrence at 50-1. The awards finalists for the Home Depot College Football Awards presentations coming up next month from Clemson. Christian Wilkins, a finalist for the Bednarik Award. He's also a finalist for the Outland Trophy. Also from Clemson, running back Travis Etienne is a finalist for the Doak Walker Award. And the SEC Basketball Rookie of the Week is the Gamecocks' A.J. Lawson.
Trey Lamar Butkus Award as well.
Trey Lamar Butkus Award. Thank you for that. So there you go. Wanted to catch up on those notes very quickly. Looking ahead, we're going to get to your calls. We're going to open up the express lines after the break, and we'll just run through your calls, I promise. So looking ahead, here's what South Carolina's got to do to make this a game. You're not going to drive it on Clemson. You better have some explosive plays. You better figure out a way to get the ball to Deebo Samuel as much as possible. Jet sweeps, pass patterns, whatever you have to do to get the ball in his hands. If you're Clemson, you don't kick it to Deebo Samuel for sure. But I think offensively for South Carolina, the reason I think South Carolina is going to keep it within the margin is I think their offense is finally capable of putting some points on the board against Clemson, unlike the last 2 years. And I think they're going to go in with more confidence on offense than they've had the last 2 years. And then defensively, South Carolina against Clemson's offense, that could be rough because of the status of the Gamecock secondary. Clemson, you're just going to come out and do what you try and do. You're going to try and you can probably come out and run the ball a couple of times. And I think they're going to try and strike early and break the Gamecock spirit early and see if they can take him out of the game quickly.
I hate to be this guy this week because I'm going to be this guy this week. But the only hope that South Carolina has, in my opinion, to covering the spread is if Clemson's bus gets lost between going from one end zone to the other from the locker room. I really do.
I don't think that's ever happened. Maybe when Danny was driving at one time, it might have made a wrong turn.
It might have had a flat tire.
You might have to slash the tires, too, on the way up there, too.
Dabo Swinney would be lamenting the fact that the bus got lost to the top of the hill. No, the Gamecocks
He was lamenting the fact that he didn't know what that word meant.
The Gamecocks will cover the spread from the standpoint of the margin.
I don't know if they will.
The high price.
More of your calls are coming up on Sports Talk. Hit us up at 800-956-7266.
Alrighty, with the snark this week on Sports Talk SC on Twitter. Edward says, I know you don't have a problem being that guy this week. You do it well and you do it often. Just saying, hey, I'm sorry if telling it like it is means that the only spread that South Carolina is going to cover is what Will Muschamp eats at his Thanksgiving meal.
Like you think it is.
By the way, Thanksgiving is not a day. It's
because
just
I
a meal.
believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you took what was the last one you blew? Clemson. You took Clemson laying some big points.
The Clemson,
and they didn't cover.
Which one?
A couple of weeks ago, we had a heavy discussion about that. But I understand. Listen, I certainly understand people who say it's going to be a blowout. I can certainly see that. You have to look deeper to believe that South Carolina is going to make it a game. You have to look deeper at South Carolina and see where they've made some improvements in some areas, and also understand the warts. Look,
I'll ask you this.
I'm going to say this. Hang on. Jake Bentley. It's got to play like a third-year guy and handle his stuff. Offensive line's got to play like the old group that it is and block like an SEC offensive line and get the running game going. Deebo Samuel, Brian Edwards, no drops, have got to make plays. The punter is very, very good. He's got to punt the ball. They're going to punt, all right? So he's going to have to hit some good balls and pin Clemson back and make Clemson go a long field over and over again. And then defensively, I don't know what you do. You try and hold on as best you can.
Here's the thing: take the rivalry whole thing out of it. Just on pure talent alone, who does South Carolina compare to among Clemson's opponents this year, as far as talent level? Where would you compare them amongst their opponents?
Boston College.
Oh, I don't think they're that. I don't think they're that good.
Yeah, an offense with a quarterback. I mean, a better passing quarterback.
I think NC State, and they kicked the crap out of NC State.
NC State.
No, I would think South Carolina is better than NC State. More weapons.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it. Lines are now open. Officially, the express lines are open, so you can get your 60 seconds and move on. We're going to open it up, hear what you have to say, give us your picks, tell us why you think your pick is the right pick, or anything else you want to bring up about the game. 800-956-7266. We go to John in Augusta. First up tonight on Clemson Carolina Week. Hello, John.
Hey, Phil, I just got a message for Coach Sweeney because I know he listens to this show.
Yes.
This is no time to sugarcoat everything. Remember all those fans that flashed that 5, all those pictures, and score at will. If you can score 80, score 80. Thank you.
No mercy, huh? John wants no mercy. Hunter in Latta, home of champions. Hunter, do I know you?
No, I don't think you do.
Oh,
I don't know you.
Okay.
I'm not really from Atlanta. I moved there, but I'm not from there, so I don't really know too many people. But I was just calling to get on that Terminex thing, but I'll go ahead and say that, Clemson's going to dominate, get that 5 in a row. That's all I can say. Go Tigers, score as many as you can, just like the last guy said.
Tiger fans want blood.
Here.
Thank you.
Give us a call.
Call back at 6:30.
Yeah, call us back at 6:30 when we do the Terminex Best or Pest thing. So
Tiger fans are out for blood.
By the way, I'm also reminded last time you picked against Clemson.
I'm sorry, Billy in Surfside Beach on the express lines. You have to be quiet. We're on the express lines. Go ahead, Billy.
Hey, Phil, real quick, you going to be down there with Alan and Ken and all them boys down at Rivals in Florence Wednesday?
6 o'clock in the morning.
6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to come by and see you and show some orange. Hey, real quick, I think you can spin it every way you want to, but I think Will's right on target. It's going to be domination, and I hope this is the time Kristen Wilkins lines up at quarterback and put either the football in Dexter Lawrence's chest, ETN, or even maybe throws the football to a tight end or so forth. But it's going to be domination. And real quick, and I'll say this, take it off there, fellas. I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I promise you, Clemson has all the ingredients, and I'm calling it right now, November the 19th. Clemson will win a national championship this year, and I'm going to take it off there, fellas. Y'all have a good one.
Boldness from Billy.
I had to laugh. I was listening to the Citadel game. I could get the Citadel game in Columbia,
Yes.
On the Point Radio. And 10-10 at halftime. And Eli Gold said
he hated it. He
said, this is the same thing they did to South Carolina in 2015.
He was so angry. Like, you could hear him exacerbated on like the third quarter call. He was just like, man, I'm just happy when this game will be over.
All right, let's go to, I'm sorry, Jason in Columbia on the express lanes. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, guys. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, I think the Gamecocks have a chance to cover the spread, and with the team that we have this year, I'll take that as a win. I think if our D-line actually steps up, plays to their potential, like you guys said before, we get Deebo Samuel out in the open. I think if they cover the spread, we can take that as a momentum builder, go and beat Akron, get a good bowl game, go into next year, hopefully get some recruits so that we can catch up to Clemson.
How sad do Gamecock fans sound when they're basically saying, "Oh, we hope to cover the spread.
Yeah.
We hope to cover the spread." When was the last time that happened in this rivalry?
We got to get some more confident Gamecock fans on the airwaves here.
A bunch of wimps, man. Where's your confidence?
Is there one Gamecock fan who will call us up and declare that the Gamecocks will win?
That hasn't been drinking.
No.
Sober, sane, and not on drugs.
There you go.
That will say the Gamecocks are going to win. Dr. Tiger in Myrtle Beach up next on the express lines here on Sports Talk. Hello. Dr. Tiger. I hear breath. Dr. Tiger.
Run the football.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, turn your radio down, sir.
It's down. I don't know what the problem is, but
yeah, go ahead.
Hello now.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So basically, they need to run the football, establish the run against South Carolina. Run it on 3rd and 2, run it on 3rd and 1 instead of throwing the football and making Trevor Lawrence throw so much. But that being said, if they'll do that, they just need to score as many points as possible. Take some timeouts at the end of the game. Let Dexter and Christian and all those guys come out and take a bow, because the Gamecock fans seem to really like when we do that last time. So just run it up as much as possible. You don't know how many chances you ever get to do it ever again. So run it up, score 100 if you can.
Yeah,
score 100.
I was
unbelievable.
I was feeling like I had my mind katanaed by Pro, because watching that game against Duke, they just kept on running it in the RPOs with the basically Duke trying to dare them to pass it. And I'm like, dude, run the football. They have the 107th best run defense in the country. Run the rock, damn it. And they did actually finally do so in the second half.
I'm still thinking that Dabo wants to get as many passing plays in so their young quarterback has the experience of seeing all the coverages and throwing against them.
Run the rock.
800-956-7266. Express lines are open. Grumpy Chicken in Fairview. Why are you so grumpy?
Because I'm a Gamecock fan.
And that puts you in a bad mood? Come on, man.
Always. Jake Bentley sure has played a lot better since he got booed.
Yep. Played a lot better since the Kentucky game, and Muschamp pointed that out. He said he's really played, in his opinion, a high level of football since the Texas A&M game.
And the score will be Clemson 49, University of South Carolina 52.
52?
Yeah.
How do you figure they're going to score 52 points?
How many games are they playing? How many times are they playing if they're going to score 52 points? If they played them 5 times, they wouldn't be able to score 52 points on Clemson's defense.
Unless Clemson turned the ball over.
Yeah.
You would have to take out you would have to cut block and take out every member of Clemson's defensive line for you to even score 25.
Well, I think you're underselling South Carolina's offense.
No, I'm overselling Clemson.
Yeah, you're overselling. I mean, Clemson's defense is outstanding. I get that. And South Carolina's offense is, I think, improved. Now,
you realize the last time that they
Duke on Saturday passed with Daniel Jones, who I really like as a quarterback. I think he's got a chance to be really good in the pros.
158 yards. I'm very impressed by him.
Well, but I mean, early on they moved the ball.
Yeah.
And what you've got to do, and what Duke didn't do, of course, was score touchdowns. They had to settle for field goals. So if you're South Carolina, you got to move the football, and you know what you got to do? You got to score a touchdown, and you got to do it in the first quarter
Clemson's defense.
You haven't scored a first half touchdown against Clemson in the last 3 years.
Clemson's defense has not allowed a touchdown of any kind in the first 3 quarters of a game since the Syracuse game. That was 2 months ago.
I'm not denying their greatness.
But you know they're good, but that shouldn't put the fear of God.
By the way, last time you picked against Clemson in a game, that was the Florida State game when it came to the cover. And how did that one go?
Didn't go well.
800-956-7266
is the number.
Terminex Best or Pest Contest. Get lined up.
It's time for the Terminex Best Fan or Pest Fan of the Week. For over 70 years, Terminex has helped Carolina and Clemson fans protect what they love about living in the South, from football Saturdays to Sunday brunch.
It is now time for the Terminex Best or Pest Fan of the Week competition. All you got to do is answer 3 questions from the past weekend's games for Clemson against Duke, South Carolina against Chattanooga. We have 4 tickets for you if you get 3 questions right to the Palmetto Sportsman Classic coming to Columbia March 22nd through the 24th. These tickets go fast. We're pretty lucky to have the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and Terminex to get them to you. First up on the line, Corn is
Rex in Charleston. Rex, you ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hope you paid attention over the weekend. You Gamecock or Tiger?
I'm a Clemson fan.
Clemson fan. All right, here we go. Question number 1. We got 2 Clemson questions, 1 Gamecock question. Should come easy to you. Number 1, in how many consecutive games has Clemson scored at least 27 points?
I would say 3, 4.
No. Boy, you're grossly underselling your Tigers. Shall we go to the next one? If you missed one. Thank you, Rex. We appreciate it. We're going to make you get on 3 because these tickets are being they're hot tickets. Let's go to Seth in Columbia. Next up here on the Terminex Best or Pest Fan of the Week. Seth, Gamecock or Tiger?
Tiger.
Tiger fan. How many
Yes,
consecutive games has Clemson scored at least 27 points?
Let's say, I know the last 5 games you have. I'm going to say,
should be easy.
let's say 11.
Oh,
Hey, was that a giveaway?
that's
Was that the giveaway?
well, should be easy. How does 11 come from? It should be easy.
Because they played 11 games.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now you think about it. Very good.
I mean,
That's right. The last time they did not score
Sugar Bowl.
that many points was Alabama. All right, very good. You got the first one. You ready for number
Sorry.
2?
I didn't mean to give you an assist there. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have gotten that as a
He
hint.
was
Though.
still lamenting it.
Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence reached 21 touchdown passes on the season against Duke, setting what school record?
Most by a true freshman.
That works. Actually, it's for a
Okay.
freshman quarterback.
That's acceptable.
Uh-huh.
This is the record that had been held by Parker,
Yes.
Kyle Parker. I think he was a redshirt freshman, but
It counts.
we're going to let it roll.
That
Here
counts.
comes your third question. It's about the Gamecocks. What personal career mark did USC receiver Brian Edwards reach on Saturday, making him the 10th in school history to accomplish this?
2,000 career receiving yards.
Ding, ding. How about Seth?
Nailed him, my man. You nailed him. Congratulations.
That is
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
That was outstanding. And you even kept up with the Gamecocks. That's good. That's what you have to do. You have to be aware of what's happening in all corners. All right,
Yes,
listen.
sir. Guys, get out that competition.
Yep. Now, listen, you got anything you want to say about the ball game?
Not much. I tried to keep my trash talk to a minimum before the game, but looking forward to a good game. I think Clemson should be able to win going away, but if anything, Duke did show that we are not invincible. But they did show us you got to play full 4 quarters. So I'm hoping that Clemson uses that as a motivation to come out and kick the rear ends this weekend.
Thank you, sir. Hang on. We'll get your name and your mailing address. We'll get these tickets out to you sometime between now and the spring. Ha! Because remember, it's not till March, so don't panic. You will get your tickets. So we thank you.
And that is how we play the Terminex Best or Pest Fan of the Week.
It's time for the Terminex Best Fan or Pest Fan.
I guess that was it. We
That was.
We'll
For
save
over
that.
70 years, Terminex has helped Carolina and Clemson fans protect what they love about living in the South, from football Saturdays to Sunday brunch.
We almost got it. That was almost it.
Sorry, it's close enough. They
It's
got
okay.
the message. All right. Thank you very much, everybody who participated in that. So we'll do it again next Monday with stuff coming out of the Palmetto Bowl. 800-956-7266 is our phone number.
I know folks are
Our
concerned.
email talkback at sportstalksc.com, on Twitter at SportsTalkSC, and something else that I'm announcing tonight.
What's that?
Y'all aren't aware of this. If you are at your home and, for example, you've got Siri, just say, Siri, listen to Corn. That'll take you right to Sports Talk.
Is that a fact?
No, it isn't, but I just
Okay.
thought I'd throw that out there
Alexa.
to make us sound more modern.
Alexa, turn on Sports Talk. You actually can say, Alexa, turn on whatever radio station, like Alexa, turn on 100.7 The Point, and you can get us on
You
that.
know what I would do? I'd tell that fat SOS to get his behind up and turn the thing on himself. That's the kind of computer I would like.
SOS? What's an SOS?
Well, I just didn't want to say
he didn't want to say the other part.
Send out an SOS.
People are concerned about Clemson's first quarter performance against Duke. That's senior day. There's a reason why they moved senior day off of the weekend of the rivalry game at both venues, because of the fact that you don't always get your first quarter out of the way, with the emotions of senior day. And Clemson had a lot of seniors that were honored, 29 of them on the field. South Carolina kind of had the same situation where they were playing an overmatched opponent, but probably didn't look as good at the start. Again, I don't take much stock into what happens on senior day.
It's really 2 games in a row. They struggled offensively against Boston College up there, and Boston College did some things defensively that caused them some problems. I think that Duke did some things early on that caused Trevor Lawrence to be overthrowing the football. Maybe he was hyped up a little bit. Boy, if he's ever going to be extremely hyped, it'll be in this game against South Carolina. How is he going to handle the early minutes of that game? Can he kind of reel in the emotions? Because he was overthrowing receivers, at least in that first quarter.
He's fine.
He just has to relax. But
he can always turn to his running game if necessary.
I would prefer him being hyped up than you having to, kind of shock him into reality.
For all the struggles you say that he had against Boston College, he still had 72% of his passes completed, which was the second highest he had all year. 295, which was the third highest yardage he had all year.
I understand that, but
and the highest completions he's had all year.
You saw the game. I mean, are you denying that he didn't have his issues early on against that defense?
He did, but at the same time, he still had a game where he threw for 295 yards and 72% of his completions.
He settled in, and the thing about Clemson is you can get away with that because the defense takes care of its business. And this is where South Carolina offensively, if they have improved like I think they have and like their numbers indicate. I mean, look, the Gamecocks went down and put 40-something points on the board against Ole Miss. And I know this isn't a defense like Clemson, but you're talking about an offense that for 2 years couldn't get out of its own way. So now, they put big points on the board against Ole Miss. They put points on the board against Texas A&M. They put points on the board against Florida.
They haven't seen a defense like this.
I give you that. But this is what I'm saying. If you're any good, if you're South Carolina and you're any good and you're an SEC team and you've got SEC players, then you should be able to go and score on Clemson early and make it a ball game for a little while.
I don't know if they have enough SEC players, at least remaining, especially on defense.
Here's the deal. Everybody talks about scoring. If South Carolina is going to stay in this game, they have to move the chains. And what I mean by moving the chains is these quick strikes are all good and all, but the best way for Clemson not to score is them not to be on the field.
Oh, yeah. I would take the up-tempo and throw it out the window.
Plus, the other fact is this. Your defense is thin as it is. The more you can hold on that ball, you look at that play clock and you run that sucker down.
Well,
that's what you want to do.
I don't think they're going to line up and drive the ball down the field on Clemson. But what Duke did early, and I was watching it on television and listening to their broadcast from the press box at Williams-Brice, and that is the quick passes. He came out early, and they hit Clemson with some quick passes, and it was effective for Duke early on. If I'm South Carolina and I'm looking at that tape, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm going to run some screens. I'm going to run something safe and short and see if my talented receivers, Shi Smith, Brian Edwards, Debo Samuel, Josh Vann, I'm going to see if one of my talented receivers might be able to break loose and make a big play.
All I'm saying is this from the standpoint of where Clemson is. This is not the same Clemson secondary that got torched by Kellen Mond. Trayvon Mullen is playing like a man possessed. A.J. Terrell is a lot better. Tanner Muse has become the run-stuffing safety that we think he can be, and Kayvon Wallace is great too. I mean, this is a Clemson defense without a weakness. There's no weakness there.
And it's all predicated on that front four.
And the pressure, I mean, I'm saying the offensive line is going to have its toughest day of the year for South Carolina.
All right, when we come back, we have got a load of recruiting. We'll open up the lines again for you in a little bit. Be patient. We got a ton of recruiting to get to here on Sports Talk.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
This guy Edward again has hit me. He said, why is it okay when Clemson struggles early with Duke? It's nothing to see here, but Alabama struggles early with the Citadel. They have a chink in the armor. I think a little bias is afoot again, just saying. You just compared Duke to the Citadel, okay?
About right. He's about right.
No, come on.
What's the difference?
One plays in the Southern Conference and one plays in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
But the equalizer is that option. In fact, the Nick Tater, when he was at LSU, when he got the job, he saw Citadel on the schedule. He said, take them off. We don't play option teams.
We also have some updated poll results from the folks in the Associated Press on the basketball side. Clemson up 3 spots to number 16 in the country, and the USC women falling 3 spots to number 13 after their loss yesterday to Maryland. Just a matchup nightmare for the ladies there, 85-61 at home at Colonial Life.
And every day this week on our website and on our Twitter site, we're doing a poll question related to the Palmetto Bowl. So the first one is Clemson is a 25.5-point favorite. That is A, too much, B, too little, C, right on the number. 41% say it's too little. 37% say right on the number, and 22% say too much. Check out our website, check out our Twitter in the evenings and during the day for our daily Palmetto Bowl poll question. Recruiting coming up in a moment, getting you ready for the week. Let's give you a little taste from Dabo Sweeney. We'll hear more from him tomorrow on a Talking Tuesday, but from his conference call last night, he talked some about getting ready for the Gamecocks.
They, from what I have seen, are playing with a lot of confidence and doing a good job of getting their playmakers the ball. I think they've found some things in the running game, and I think they're good up front. I think they got a good offensive line, and Bentley's got a ton of experience and a very savvy and knowledgeable player. So this will be a really good offense that we've got to prepare for.
Yeah, so, I know obviously for Clemson, winning this game is always important. Like you mentioned, it's the next step. But for you personally, what does this game mean to you, and from a personal standpoint, if you beating those guys?
Well, it means the same to me. It means to everybody else in this state. It means that you won the state championship, and you live with this one for 365 days. So, and it means we're 12-0. That's the next thing. It means we're trying to. We love nothing more than to be 12-0, and that's not going to happen if we don't take care of our business this week. This is a goal of its own, a season of its own, and we're excited about this time of year.
It's the biggest game of the year, Corn. Oh, wait.
Every week is a new season. We'll hear from Will Muschamp coming up, his thoughts about the week ahead and getting ready for Clemson, and a couple of other things that he had to say about things related to his program. Recruiting now is a very busy weekend in recruiting. We'll begin with cornerback DeQuantius Watts of Atlanta, who took an unofficial to USC Saturday as a commitment to UCF. He stayed overnight, met with Will Muschamp, Travaris Robinson, Brian McClendon before heading home. And he got home, and yesterday afternoon he decommitted from Central Florida, and he tells us that South Carolina is his favorite right now, but he hasn't visited any other schools. He says it possibly could change when he goes to others, but he likes the idea of playing for the Gamecocks in the SEC, and he is hopefully going to come back, he said, for the Akron game. He's got to take the SAT that morning. He also plans to take an official with the Gamecocks. No date's been set. Also hearing from North Carolina, USF, West Virginia, and UCF. Plans to go to North Carolina unofficially this Saturday. To make his decision the end of this month or in early December.
Take that, national champs.
Yes. Gamecocks are really recruiting defensive backs hard right now. Another cornerback, Jadon Hill, Madison, Alabama, was in for an official over the weekend. He got the VIP treatment from Muschamp and Robinson. He's been a Florida commitment since September. He tweeted Sunday he is, quote, definitely still a Gator, end quote. But he told us Sunday night he's still leaving the door open for the Gamecocks. He liked the whole visit. He likes what T-Rob and Muschamp did while they were at Florida and what they're doing at South Carolina. And they need help at the secondary. He knows that. He gets some early playing time. He took an official to Florida in October for the LSU game. No more officials are planned. will have some in-home visits from the coaches next month. He tore his ACL, fourth game of this season, going up to defend the pass and coming down wrong on his leg. He is ahead of schedule on his rehab. He could begin running in another week or so. USC has missed on another top cornerback target. This is why you should not believe everything you read on the internet, because Gamecock insider types had this guy maybe headed to South Carolina. He committed to Michigan. Jalen Perry of Decula, Georgia, committed to Michigan after taking an official there over the weekend. Was scheduled for an official to USC for December. I think it was for December 7th. Probably not going to happen now. USC offered running back DJ Williams of Sebring, Florida. He is currently committed to Appalachian State. He's also picked up recent offers from Ole Miss, Texas, Tennessee, Miami, Auburn, and Georgia, and others. 2020 defensive lineman Jamarian Latham of Reform, Alabama, visited USC Saturday, was offered by Alabama Saturday, committed to Alabama today. That was his dream offer. When he got it, you knew it was over.
All over.
Linebacker Quavaris Crouch of Charlotte took his official to Clemson over the weekend in a lengthy interview and review of the visit with Adam Friedman of Rivals. He said he was hosted by Mike Jones, had a good time visiting with the players, indicated Florida State and Tennessee are fading because they have new coaches and are in a rebuilding mode. That's not actually what he's looking for. He said Clemson and Michigan were his best officials. Also cited the proximity to Clemson as important for his grandmother to be able to easily see him play. He also might take an official visit to Southern Cal. He plans to privately commit at some point, sign in December, but won't announce his plans until the Army All-American game January 5th. Offensive lineman Will Putnam of Tampa also took an official to Clemson over the weekend. That was his last visit. His other two were to Auburn and Florida State. A decision from him is expected in early December. Athlete Xavier Leggett of Mullins was back at USC Saturday night. The Gamecocks have a gray shirt offer on the table with him right now. He arrived late due to traffic, did not get the chance to talk much with the coaches. He might return for the Akron game. He said Connecticut recently contacted his coach. USC running back target Taj Gary of Atlanta had surgery Saturday for a broken leg he suffered Friday night. He had planned to visit USC Saturday. He has an official visit scheduled for the Gamecocks December 7th. He's a Virginia Tech commitment, is scheduled to visit there officially November 30th. These visits, of course, are tentative due to his health, his ability to move around. He plans to be an early signee. 2020 running back Brandon Edwards of Blythewood was at Clemson Saturday, had a great visit, says he's not sure how interested they are in him at this point. 2020 corner Christian Miller of Hilton Head was at Clemson Saturday, had a great visit, talked a lot with Mike Reed, and his first time back at Clemson since he was a freshman, had a chance to talk with A.J. Terrell, and he believes an offer from Clemson is coming at some point. He hopes soon. And he said Brent Venables has seen him compete before, so he knows about him. He has an offer from UCF, getting attention from USC, Northwestern, Wake Forest, Georgia, Rice, Coastal, NC State, Georgia Tech, Duke, Virginia Tech, and others. 2020 offensive lineman Avery Jernigan of Blackshear, Georgia, was at USC Saturday. He already has a Gamecock offer, said he had a great time. He said Eric Wolford likes him, likes his feet and the way he plays. Auburn, Vanderbilt, Nebraska, and those are his other offers, Auburn, Vanderbilt, and Nebraska. He's been to Auburn, Florida State, Mississippi State as well. 2020 place kicker Axel Levrow of Bradenton, Florida, back at USC Saturday. He would love to commit to the Gamecocks. He's just waiting for them to decide to take a kicker in the 2020 class. If he's the guy, he would commit.
We're going to add baguettes to the training table, too, at USC?
2020 linebacker Will Troutman of Roswell, Georgia, was at USC Saturday. Loved it, loved the campus. Met with Coach Hutzler, and they talked some. He's waiting to see how much more interest South Carolina has in him. He's also been hearing some from Kentucky. 2020 offensive lineman Colby Todd of Ainer also was at USC Saturday. USC and Clemson target 2020 receiver Zevian Capers was at Florida Saturday. USC women's basketball target 6'1", Haley Jones, Santa Cruz, California, #1 player in the country, was going to announce today. She's postponed it to the 28th because of the wildfires. USC, Oregon, Connecticut, Stanford, and Notre Dame are her finalists. That's recruiting. We'll be back.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
All right, express lanes are reopening here on Sports Talk on the first night of USC USC week on Sports Talk across the state of South Carolina. We are your final word on sports every night. Your most informed word, your most passionate word, your most informed word on sports. And when it comes to this week, we'll be your final word on Friday night live here across the state.
So like Hanukkah, do we light a candle every night? It's the first night of Carolina Clemson week.
We could do that.
Light a candle.
Except we'd run out of nights because Hanukkah lasts 8 nights.
Yeah.
That'd go past the game.
Like 2 at a time.
800-956-7266. We go to, I've lost my place. Where are we going? Mark in Barnwell. Oh, in Varnville. We determined it was Varnville, not Barnwell.
Mm-hmm.
Mark in Varnville. Hello, Mark.
It's a new one on me.
Good to speak to you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Use that word like. I'm a Gamecock fan, 50 years of it, and I'm tired of hearing these people say we don't stand a chance against Clemson.
You don't stand a chance against Clemson.
Right. But I want to know all true Gamecock fans knows that anything can happen in that game. With that pretty boy with that long hair, jam his finger. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Mark, what do the Gamecocks have to do to win?
Pray.
Besides, score more points. What do they physically have to do?
Hide the head, dry.
Would you let the man answer the question?
And if they get the lead, don't stop trying to lose it. Just keep playing like they've been playing. I know we're short in bodies, but that'll give some of these young guys to get out there to see what they've made of. It's supposed to be so highly ranked. Get them off the butt and see what they can do. And if they don't think they got a chance, take your uniform off, get out of the dressing room. But I think the coach has got the right people going the right direction. Everybody stay out of his way and let him get into his pit and have it with Dabo. It will turn out good in the future.
All right. Thank you very much.
I don't know if there's a way for South Carolina to win this game that stays within the bounds of the laws of the great state.
Express lane, we go to Eddie in Charleston here on Sports Talk. 60 seconds. Eddie, Gamecock or Tiger?
Eddie.
Edward?
Eddie, turn your radio down.
Hello, Edward.
All right, put him on hold, and we'll go back to him. We'll give him one more chance.
Oh, Chuck.
Oh, Chuck in North Augusta. Well, you had Eddie in Charleston, I thought, next. Chuck in North Augusta, you got 60 seconds.
Gamecock fan. Love the Gamecocks. Been listening to this program for many years, and I'm just wondering what Pelagic's trying to do. I mean, all these snide comments, and we can't get through the recruiting news without snide comments. And I mean, what's the point? Is the point to get ratings, or are we just trying to beat a team when they're down? Or are we? I mean, what is the point here? I mean, I have never, all the years I've listened to this program, I have never heard anybody beat a team down, professional, college, or anything, like I'm hearing tonight.
What do you mean by beat a team down, sir?
Just making snide comments and under the
because
comments.
I don't think they have a chance on Saturday. That's the problem. That's what it is. It's the way I feel.
And so when have we done something like this for any other team that you guys cover?
I'm just telling you the way I feel about the game, Chuck.
I know how you feel. You've made it abundantly clear.
Okay.
But I can't. In all the years,
it's not my job to carry the mail for. It's not my job to carry the mail for South Carolina, Chuck. It's more about a commentary about how far behind this program is and how I think they should be further along, and they haven't taken that step. Maybe that's the reason I'm having this snide comment that you say. Maybe.
Well, I'm telling you this right now. If Pro's going to hang it up anytime soon, or Phil's going to hang it up anytime soon, I'm done because I'm not listening to you.
Well, I'm not listening to you. Bye.
Corn ain't going anywhere. Don't worry. I'll be right here. Thanks for the call. But, Chuck, look, it's Will's opinion, and that the Gamecocks don't have a chance. That's his job here, is to provide opinion and commentary. I understand why you're pissed off.
Carry the mail for people. Come on, man.
Now, just let me finish. Just one time tonight.
Fine.
Thank you.
Cool.
So, Chuck, I understand why you're pissed. I'm sure a lot of Gamecock fans are pissed at him. They don't want to hear that. I understand that. I am more of a moderate, and I have seen South Carolina 6-7 times this year. I think they're not all that bad, and I think they can go into Clemson and they can do some things. Now, Clemson may prove me to be a fool. I know Clemson is great on defense, great on offense, good in the kicking game, maybe not so good at punter all the time. South Carolina can do some things too, and that's why I give them a chance to go in. What they've got to do is show competitiveness, because they have not showed competitiveness in the last 2 years, and they've got to go in and show me and Will and Pro and anybody else who follows them that they can be competitive for a change, and then you get them back in Columbia next year, and maybe you turn the table.
It's not a bias toward Clemson. It's just the fact that I think that they're that much better. That's a thing. I'm sorry. That's a thing.
But here's the point. Yeah, as I said before in the old Bogart movie, when he said it wasn't what you said, it was your tone that was objectionable.
Here's my tone.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. No, I have got to get to the lines here. Eddie in Charleston, you two just are talking too much. Eddie in Charleston.
Are you kidding me?
Sometimes I think that you talk too much.
You got 60 seconds,
All right,
sir.
wait a minute. Y'all be quiet. Be quiet. I agree with the guy that you just talked to. I think you're being very rude and sarcastic. I want to ask you a question. Who do you think Clemson will be playing Georgia or Alabama in the conference championship game this weekend? Who's got the hardest game to play, Alabama, Georgia, or Clemson? Which one's got the hardest game? You think Georgia? You think Georgia loves to be playing Pittsburgh? You think Georgia loves to be playing Pittsburgh instead of Alabama?
What's that have to do with anything?
Or you think Clemson? You think Clemson would rather play Alabama in the playoff game? How many teams did Clemson beat that have over half the teams in the SEC would have beat every one of them too?
Gamecock fans love to talk about the fact that Clemson plays the schedule in the ACC. Guess what? They scheduled out of conference at A&M and won on the road against a team that your team couldn't beat at home.
No, wait a minute. The team is an average. What, they 7-5 or something like that? 6-5. They're an average team. Well, let me ask you this:
you lost to them at home.
Who was the only team last year in 60-something bowl teams that didn't score a touchdown? Who was the only one that didn't score a touchdown?
Was that Clemson?
That was Clemson.
That should be our Clemson. That should be our best or best.
They're going to do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing. They're not going to beat Alabama. They're not going to beat Alabama. You can.
But what about?
They got a chance to beat Alabama.
But what about
you? You're asking me whether or not they had a chance to beat South Carolina, and I say they don't. They don't have a snowball's chance in hell to do so.
Yeah. What about?
I don't think South Carolina beat them either.
So there you go. That's my opinion.
I think. But you're playing Pittsburgh. You got a cakewalk.
We're not talking about Pittsburgh, sir. We're talking about the Palmetto Bowl.
Well, I thought Pittsburgh is Clemson's playing, though, to get in the playoffs.
They're going to roll Pittsburgh. They're going to roll Pittsburgh.
They play Pittsburgh in the ACC championship game a week from Saturday.
Right, that's exactly right. Yeah. Who's got the toughest schedule?
Obviously the Alabama Georgia game will be tougher.
You're the kind of person who walks into Dabo Swinney and says "Roll Tide" when you can't even get within a touchdown of Clemson.
Let's stop insulting all the callers.
I'm not insulting the callers.
Appreciate your phone call. Stay on the phone lines, and we're going to go next to where are we going? Jerome. All right, Jerome. I'm going to have to pass on the introduction. Don't have the time. What's up? What do you got? I scared him off because he didn't have his introduction. Hang on, we got two lines lit there. Is this Jerome, possibly? Who's this? Hey, Jerome, loser. How are you?
Hey, South Carolina upsets Clemson. Dabo Swinney will never be able to show his face at ESPN ever again. Okay? Do you realize what this would do to the landscape of college football? Hey, I wouldn't want to be the coach that loses this game at Clemson, because I'm telling you, man, he won't be able to show his face for about a year in the state anywhere.
No, he'll have to show his face at ESPN because Kirk Herbstreit's twins are going to be preferred walk-ons at Clemson.
I don't think he's too worried about that, to be honest with you. I don't think he's worried about the possibility of really losing this game. I think Clemson has a high level of confidence. If you just go off of the Clemson media and the fans, there's a high arrogance level when it comes from Clemson's standpoint towards South Carolina in this game. So I don't think Dabo is caught up in the feeling that they might lose. All right, we'll be right back.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
It is now time for my favorite portion of the week. First and 10 with Zach Willis. First down, 10 minutes on the Gamecocks in Clemson, and I'm guessing a lot of this will center around the game this weekend at Death Valley.
Well, I would certainly hope so. Good evening, Coach.
Good evening, guys. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. Okay, so we're already in hot debate here. I think the Gamecocks can finish within the margin of the spread, 25.5. Will says no, it's going to be a slaughter, not even close once again for a third straight year. Pro, what have you said? Have you even offered an opinion yet about how the game's going to turn out? As far as
I thought Clemson would cover the spread.
All right, so you look at Clemson rolling as well. So what does South Carolina have to do to make this game competitive?
I've got a few things, Phil. I try to be very, very, very quick. First of all, Clemson's been starting kind of slow here lately. South Carolina's got to take advantage of that to have a chance. They've got to look at the BC and the Duke games and the blueprint for the first half success that both of them had. Well, however minimal or substantial that may have been, any modicum of success that they've had, and Dabo may not know what modicum means, but Will does. Anyway, they've got to seize on those strategies and use those, and they need to block a punt. And I think if they do those things and disguise their defense, slow Trevor Lawrence down a little bit, they got a shot, but it's just a shot now. And I'm speaking as a coach here, not a fan.
Block a punt, that's interesting. Clemson's had some issues in the punting game, not necessarily block punts, but Will Speyer's been a little inconsistent. I think he was good against Duke.
Highest punt average last week against Duke.
Yeah, so maybe they have sorted that out.
45 yards a clip.
Now,
but he should have had one blocked in the first half.
Should have.
The kid ran right by it.
Yeah.
Partially tipped it, but I mean, kid came through untouched. They had some shaky protection. And again, this is a former special teams coordinator. Block a punch, you can change the momentum of the whole game.
What do you think of how Duke came out with the quick pass attack? Jones getting the ball out of his hands quickly, trying to let their receivers make a play out there on the edges.
Oh, I liked it a lot. I thought Cutcliffe's an excellent quarterback coach. His resume and pedigree speak for themselves. But Jones is probably the best quarterback that you never hear of in the country, and people wonder why he goes in the first round. But he is the best quarterback they'll see all year. I don't care who they play. He's phenomenal, and he did a great job with his arm and identifying the weaknesses in it. They dropped a couple of big balls. He made the throw, and the kids just didn't have the talent to catch the ball. But, I mean, Duke had an excellent plan.
As far as South Carolina, as I asked this question earlier, Zach, what team on Clemson's schedule most resembles South Carolina in your mind?
Boy, that's, I think that South Carolina would probably want to say Boston College because of the physicality. I don't think South Carolina is as physical as Boston College. Or North Carolina State, maybe.
Thank you. That's the one I said.
Maybe. That's a great question, and one I really am not as prepared to answer as I'd like to be by looking back over it. But those are the two that come to mind to me.
But, I mean, just from the standpoint of where Clemson and what they do well matches up with South Carolina's strengths, I just don't know how you look at this game and you say anything other than a Clemson blowout victory.
If Lawrence gets hurt, it's a ball game. But if he doesn't get hurt, it's going to be really, really tough. Like I said, Clemson's got to start slow. Some things have to happen for the Gamecocks to have a chance. And the biggest one is Muschamp has to find that trigger inside of every team with at least a puncher's chance here of doing what they need to do to motivate them to play above their heads. But I mean, it's Slim and none, and Slim's on his way out of town. He ain't left yet, but he's on his way.
Slim's in Walhalla.
The key point is when you look at every play, Zach, and I guess when you're looking at your team and playing, and you're an underdog against a team like Clemson, you have to look at, okay, let's win the first quarter. Let's win the second quarter. The key point also is first down. I don't care how you get it. You have to be, in my opinion, 5 yards or less on second down to have sustained drives.
You got to, because their defensive line is probably the best I've ever seen in college football. They are incredible. They're efficient. They know when to make plays, and they make them. Here's a big thing. You know when Clemson started dominating Duke is when they realized they could get to the passer with 3 down linemen. When they went to 3 down linemen, the game was over because Duke couldn't protect them. That'll be a big deal in this football game if they put it on Bentley and the wide receiver's shoulders, which I believe they'll have to do. And again, like you said, take it in very small increments. Hey, guys, just win first down. And, hey, that's going to be a heck of a lot harder than just saying it in this game, as good as Clemson's defense is.
Zach Willis, 1st and 10 here on Sports Talk. And we're talking about, of course, the Palmetto Bowl coming up on Saturday. Jake Bentley has had 2 awful outings against Clemson thus far. And he returns to the scene of the crime from 2 years ago when he was thrust out there as a high school kid.
High school senior.
Yeah, as a freshman. And they messed up from the get-go because, remember, they had him coming over to the sideline on every play to get the call and sending him back out. And it just really, whatever offense they had, it took him out of rhythm. But he's an older guy now. And Muschamp says, in his opinion, he's playing at a very high level, has done so since Texas A&M. Can he alone give the offense some confidence and make the plays to get the offense going against this defense?
Well, I mean, we watched the Heisman Trophy winner from Louisville prove it. He alone couldn't beat Clemson. He got blew out. And Bentley's a great player, but I don't know who can do that by themselves. So that's an 11-man game. One cat can't do anything in a football game. Don't ever, ever, ever let anybody fool you into believing that. They can make a difference, but their offensive line has to play the best they've played in their lives to touch this defensive line. And I'm not saying they can't do it, but it has to be done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on this one. Everybody's got to play great. Everybody, Jake included.
What is keeping, or what would keep this offense from being unable, and it's the best offense. I think it's safe to say this is the best offense they've had in their 3 years under Muschamp.
Yes.
I mean, the numbers
I agree.
bear that out.
It's a low bar, but
the talent, I mean, I look around and I see talent on offense, starting with Bentley, the wide receivers. I think A.J. Turner should get more look at running back. This guy, he is the one running back who has what appears to be the breakaway speed and can also catch the ball well out of the backfield. Maybe you give him more looks, but I mean, what is it that is not clicking or is holding this offense back against these better teams from having that big day?
Talent. Just his talent up front. Their offensive line has gotten a lot better than they were. I think, and it literally Wanham's addition made a huge difference. He's the one guy they got. Some of their other kids are pretty good players, but they're going against three for sure first round, second round draft picks. 2 of those cats may go in the top 15 in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really a fair question because you're comparing one of the greatest defensive units in the history of college football statistically and just looking at them when they get off the bus. I mean, if you guys go down and watch Clemson stand next to them, you probably already have. Look at them. These are not normal human beings. They're not normal college football players. And that's what Carolina, and they've got to cut block the heck out of them. That's one thing I want to throw in here. They need to take their knees out on 3-step passing, short passing game, and keep their hands down. They took 3 first downs away from Duke batting the ball down.
Mm-hmm.
How do you close the gap, though, with Clemson if you're South Carolina?
Everything you got, I'm talking about emotionally, motivationally, strategically. Here's the deal. I once coached in a rivalry game, and I won't say which one. Well, we basically made my team think that the other students from the other school had vandalized our campus. They hadn't, of course. We didn't show up for warm-ups, okay? Threw the team totally out of their game, and we won it with 15 seconds to go. First victory in a decade. That's how you do it. You do something crazy.
Smoke and mirrors.
Something totally off the wall. Whatever it takes, man. Steve Tannehill did it, didn't he, Phil?
He did.
Out of nowhere.
He did.
That's what it's going to take. Let's just throw Tanny in there. Steve Tannehill, as off the wall as you can get, a hell of a player, excuse my French, also. Okay? But he did it. And that was a long time ago. But he signed his name on the pot.
Yeah, but he's not facing a team like they're going to see on Saturday. Thank you, Will. Have a great Thanksgiving. And Zach, too.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. As we come back to you, the Tiger Burn is going on right now. Have you ever thought about doing a show at the Tiger Burn and Cocky's funeral? Have you ever thought about that?
Used to cover that all the time.
Yeah.
Back when it was on they used to do it before the game was moved to Thanksgiving week. It used to be done on a Thursday. In fact, they used to, of course, everybody knows around here that USC used to have its pep rally on the State House grounds, which was really cool. They would do the Tiger Burn down at the university. Then the students and the football team would come up to the State House. So they do a big pep rally. Clemson used to have its, they used to do a thing called the Barnyard Burn. I'm not sure if they still do that or not at Clemson, the Barnyard Burn.
They do the Cocky's funeral thing.
Yeah, I think they changed that over to the Cocky's funeral thing. Used to also have a guy, or guys and gals, I guess, ROTC, banging a drum for an entire, I think it was for the entire week, starting on Monday night. They'd have a big old drum out at Death Valley, and somebody would be pounding on that thing.
That wasn't the same as them
24 hours a day.
On those big tin cans. They used to
maybe it was 10 cans. I thought it was a drum. But anyway, we're going to get to high schools here in a moment with David Shelton. Before that, we heard from well, by the way, I messed up at the end. I should have said thank you, Zach, and happy Thanksgiving to Zach. So I want to appropriately say goodbye to Zach Willis because I screwed up there.
I think the callers thought you just had a senior moment.
No. I was looking at Will and I was reading something and it just threw me off.
Were you lamenting that you made that mistake?
I am lamenting that I made that error. I will not mess this up, however. Will Muschamp, off of his conference call, we give you a chance to hear from him to start the Carolina-Clemson week here on Sports Talk. We heard from Dabo Swinney earlier. Here is, off of his conference call yesterday, Will Muschamp looking ahead to the Tigers.
Well, I think that they do what they do, and that's what makes them pretty efficient offensively. They've got good players. They play with a good tempo. They execute. It's not that they have a vast playbook of different things that they do, but generally the really good teams that you face, they're good at what they do. They execute and they put the ball in space with really good players that are hard to tackle, and they do a very effective job of that. So I don't know that there's been a huge shift as far as who they are and what they do. They've got a lot of confidence in Trevor, obviously, and they should. He's a good player.
Will, it looked like in their game against Boston College that defensively BC changed up and did some really different things, and it looked like it threw Lawrence off his game a little bit. Do you look hard at that video, or as you plan your defensive game plan, do you think about just trying to change some things up and give him some things that maybe he hasn't seen?
Well, certainly. I think each week we try to give somebody, give teams different things that we're able to handle and that we can execute and play fast with, Phil. I think the question you get in for yourself, number one, we've got some youth at the safety position of guys that hadn't played a lot of snaps. So don't trick yourself and ask them to do too many things and not execute and cut a guy loose. So let's come up with some different things to keep them off rhythm a little bit. Certainly we try and do that every week. But you don't trick yourself, and that's where you got to start with first, because the worst thing you can do is cut a guy loose for a big play.
Well, with kind of going into the rivalry week, I know you talk about every week of season, but sort of do you tell your guys try to block out the outside noise, or do you want maybe a little part of them to kind of, I guess, sort of get into the passion and the energy that kind of comes from that kind of rivalry?
Well, I don't know that you really need to talk about it a lot. Our guys will feel it. Our guys will understand the importance of this game. At the end of the day, when you're a South Carolina Gamecock and people find out that you played football at South Carolina, probably one of the first questions they're going to ask you is, what was your record versus Clemson? And so our guys understand that. We've talked about that, and they understand it's a big ball game. They understand the importance to this state, to this university, and to your lineage as a South Carolina football player. And it's a really important game.
In this state, you're compared to Clemson, and Clemson is compared to you. And do you think with Clemson where they fit right now in the college football world, it took them a few years to get there, do you think your fans have an understanding of the time and the patience that it takes to build a program to that level?
Patience is something I don't have. and I don't want our fan base to have it either. And I want them to be demanding and expect excellence. And regardless of whether we've done it before, doesn't really matter. You know, that's where we want to take the program. The investment that we've made with our operation facility, the things we're doing in our program, the progress we've made in 3 years has been good. That's not where we want to be. And, you know, I have a higher expectation than they do. I can assure you of that. And having been a part of multiple conference championships and national championships, this staff and myself know how to get there, and we're excited about our future. So I'm not a patient person, Phil, and I don't want our fan base to be patient either.
We drastically transitioned to a little high school football now. It's presented by the folks at Farm Bureau Insurance. With favorite rates from Farm Bureau, get all your favorite things like competitive rates, local agents, and great claim service for all your auto, home, and life insurance needs. Get a no-obligation quote today at favrates.com.
And with that, we welcome in David Shelton of the High School Sports Report, the Charleston Post and Courier. As, boy, we had some great games on Friday night, David, some that went right down to the wire. What was your biggest takeaway from round 2 of the high school league playoff series?
Well, you know, as I said last week, I thought the playoffs started Friday night. I don't pay much attention to the first round, even though there may be an upset or two. To get to to practice on Thanksgiving is when you know you've had a really good season. And that's where all these teams that are remaining, that's where they are now. They'll be practicing on Thursday. You know, I think the big story or the biggest takeaway was probably South Point getting beat by Daniel in double overtime. Daniel going for 2. A lot of controversy on the 2-point conversion, whether or not Tyler Venables got into the end zone or was stopped short. Kind of really depends on the camera angle. I've sat around and watched 3 or 4 different things today, and I'm still not sure. But it doesn't matter. That's what the official called, and they moved on. But South Point going for a 5th straight title and getting knocked out, and then the coach, you know, just suddenly saying, I'm done after the game. You know, they called it retirement, but it's more of a resignation, I think. Retiring from the public school system. I think you're going to see him land somewhere maybe really relatively close to South Point here in the next couple of months when that new Legion charter school or whatever in Rock Hill opens up. You know, there's a good chance he may be the football coach there. But, you know, I think what we saw was a lot of good football games, a lot of close games. We had a couple blowouts. But I think on this Friday night is where we're going to see some really, really fantastic matchups. You're going to see some really good football games on Friday night.
You also saw the upstate flex its muscles. T.L. Hanna, Dorman, Gaffney, Burns, they all win. And a changing of the guard down your way with Fort Dorchester bowing out, Berkeley and Somerville advancing, and a newcomer in West Florence.
Yeah, you know, West Florence is having one of those years that they'll have about every 10 years, just because they don't really have the players in that area to just be that way every year. But this season has really been unbelievable for Jody Jenrette. They've only lost 1 game. They got down 14-0 to Fort Dorchester last Friday night. And if you had told me that Fort Dorchester was going to get a 14-0 lead and lose, I would have probably lost a lot of money on that bet, because usually when they get you down, they put you down. Well, West Florence hung in there, credit to them, and they ended up winning. And you know, they get Dutch Fork, and, you know, they're not going to be favored. A lot of people are going to give, you know, Dutch Fork's going to win by 30, and, you know, you're going to hear that. But you know what? They're there. And if you get a chance to suit up on that night, you got a chance to win. So I think West Florence will be very confident. I don't think they'll beat Dutch Fork, but I think they'll be very confident with their chances.
Real quick, Hammond won another state championship. They just dominate in skis. They got about 20 seconds. Nobody's even close.
Yep, and they're going to be very good next year. They got a lot of underclassmen on that team, so people better get ready for them to extend that streak.
Jackson Muschamp, part of that Hammond group.
Yeah, those 2 defensive linemen. Very, very good. Okay, David, thank you, man. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you on Friday as we head into the quarterfinals across the state. David Shelton, our high school Sports
I'm
Report.
curious to see how Mick Mixon feels about the controversial decision to go for 2 in the Panther game.
Absolutely.
Ron. Riverboat.
First and goal from the 8. Newton backs up, looking end zone, has a receiver, leaping grab, Moore, touchdown. That is DJ Moore. That's to the right side, Newton to Moore.
But then, what happened?
All right, our visit with Mick Mixon here, Monday Night Football. The Panthers, a tough loss in Detroit yesterday, Mick. And I don't know, everybody's talking about the decision to go for 2. If you make it, you're a genius. If not, you're second guess. The play was open. on the 2-point conversion. It just wasn't the best pass in the world by Newton.
We could go to dinner after the show. We could all have a couple beverages, order up some wings, potato skins. We could talk about just that play, just the decision to go for 2 into the night and probably never settle it. There are arguments on both sides. Coach Ron Rivera was very firm in his decision to go for it then. And but really, I mean, the game was not won or lost. We could talk about that decision, that play, but missed tackles, ball not being caught when it should have been caught, not just by Funchess. I mean, James Bradbury had an interception early, goes right through his hands, right to Galladay, and then he runs down the sideline. Ellington, the former Gamecock, he was a pest. Missed kicks. It was just, the Panthers just did not play well, and you lose to that team by 1 point that way. It's you can still accomplish. The Panther goals are all still there, but now the margins get really, really thin.
How much of it, Mick, is that a lot of these coaches have been given the cover to make that decision now? We're seeing it. It's not necessarily an uncommon thing now to see a coach go for the win to try and go for 2, especially with the advent of the longer extra point.
You just touched on one of the great questions that I hope to get answered either in this life or in some other life. And that is, why did these alpha males, these trained assassins, this Spartan game of forward progress, why did have they shied away for decades from going for it, even when statistically the metrics show that they should, because they're afraid of being second guessed? It's like seeing a big, strong, strapping muscle head afraid of a mouse or a roach or a crab. I mean, it just makes no sense.
The key point,
I'm not big on the roach thing, by the way.
Well, Mick, what about Graham Gano? Does he have an injury we don't know about, or did the coaching staff just say, look, for whatever reason, he has that golfer's disease and he's hooking everything, and we might as well go for 2 here?
That's another great question, and I don't know. Not that I know of. I think that Coach Rivera probably collected data from a variety of different areas in that moment. Gano's recent history in that game certainly would be some of the of what he'd run the diags on. But that's Graham Gano. I mean, we were kind of joking today around the office, like, okay, Graham, you'll bounce back. Well, bounce back from what? He had made 28 consecutive field goals. They all miss them. It's just that this one.
Let me tell you, Mason Crosby in Detroit earlier this year is something about that stadium. He missed, I think, 4. And they
5 kicks altogether, 4 field goals and an extra point.
He was terrible. And then he's been great ever since, though he missed a key field goal for us. Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about the Panthers, not the Packers. I'm off target here a little bit. So, bounce back this week.
We got Seattle coming in, and Seattle seems like they've found some things and figured a few things out.
Yeah, it's called playing the Packers. Wilson, I'm sorry, I brought him up again. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mick.
How about what do you think of Green Bay's with McCarthy's decision to punt the ball?
The most idiotic decision of the year. Completely, totally insane.
No.
It was. Your top 2 defensive linemen are out. You can't stop Seattle. You're not going to get the ball back. It's 4th and 2. Aaron Rodgers. Give me a break. Anyway, how about beating Seattle?
Russell Wilson's interesting to me. He's the best at defaulting to his feet early in the play, but then preserving his ability to throw the ball. Once Newton defaults to his legs, he's pretty much going to run. You know that. It's just a matter of up the middle, left, right. Wilson, though, will sprint out. He'll front out. He'll reverse out. And he knows exactly where the line of scrimmage is. And you come up to tackle him, and boom, he drops it right over your head to Baldwin or Lockett or one of those irritating receivers they have.
And speedy, too, man. They get behind you. Hey, we're going to let you go. It's Carolina-Clemson week here. Clemson-Carolina week. You know how that goes. We want to squeeze in a few more calls. But you enjoy your show tonight. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, pal. Thank you,
guys. Bro. Thank you.
Thanks, Mick.
Mick Mixon.
The guy.
Yeah, he was open looking at that replay on that 2-point conversion. It was wide open.
I really thought on that 2-point conversion, they were going to call the quarterback draw. I swear I thought that was going to happen.
All right, Billy in Somerville. Welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
Hey, sir. How y'all doing, man?
Good.
Hey, I've got 3 quick questions. I know you're running out of time, and I just want to see if you can give me an honest answer at least on one of them. First of all, it's Carolina Clemson week. Yeah, I know a lot of people just think it's going to be a blowout. But in all honesty, with everything that's on the line this year, and as far as Clemson is, I know as much as I dislike Clemson, because my whole family went to Carolina, everybody's not giving us a chance. With the defense being disaligned as much as we have been with all the injuries, do you honestly think that Carolina could still keep the game in reach and get to that fourth quarter and have a chance? The other question I got, too, is involving Frank Martin and the basketball team as a whole. If he has another bad season like he has in the last few years, and I've got no problems with Frank Martin being our coach, it seems like lately things aren't going like they are, or if there's a recruiting problem, whatever, do you think Frank Martin would be on the hot seat in another year, and I'll hang up and listen and go talk later?
All right, thanks. I mean, look, I think South Carolina can make this a game into the second half, which for them would be progress. I think going into the third quarter, if this is a 35-0 or 35-7 game in favor of Clemson, then I think Gamecock fans have every reason to be totally upset. This team should be able to go in there and make a favorable representation of itself. I mean, they went down to Florida and had Florida beat. Now, is Florida as good as Clemson?
Heck no.
But in the swamp against Florida, which is traditionally and mentally ahead of South Carolina, to go in there and be up 17 going to the fourth quarter, those are the things South Carolina's got to hang their hat on to say, look, you can do it there, you can do it here to some degree. Now, can they go out and do it? I mean, I can't wave a magic wand over them and say, go do it.
The answer is no.
I happen to think that they can make it at least a respectable game into the third quarter. Now, the depth issue and the wear and tear on South Carolina's defense, it could get away from them in the last 20 minutes.
I'm Clemson right now. I'm playing Clemson. You don't have a chance to beat me because I'm trying to go for a national championship. If I let you stay in this football game and I have to play my top guys late in the football game, the more chance somebody can get injured. I don't want that to happen.
But if you're South Carolina, you got to take it out of Clemson's hands. You can't rely on the pity of Clemson to say we're going to.
Oh no,
Clemson's not going to pull the dogs off.
Pity on you. I can't.
Even if they put in their reserves, as you heard the callers tonight, from the Clemson standpoint, they want more blood.
What is Clemson's most plentiful position right now offensively?
Wide receiver.
What is South Carolina's most efficient position right now?
Most efficient or deficient?
Deficient.
Oh yeah,
position.
secondary. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
just look at that. That is why South Carolina has no chance.
No, but here's your key point.
It's a mismatch. It's a nightmare for them.
It's where they're injured, because a safety is just as important in stopping the running game as it is in stopping the passing game.
Well, I think the good news for South Carolina is that by giving them most of the game off or all of the game off, they should have a ready-to-go DJ Wanham. They should have a ready-to-go Stephen Montag. J.C. Horn's expected to be able to play.
And who's suiting up at safety?
Well, that's a good question.
You and me?
We'll find out at the news conference tomorrow.
I'm just saying, it's not about South Carolina. It's just the fact that they are hurt in a position they cannot afford to be hurt to win that football game.
All right. We thank you for all the phone calls. Tomorrow night, a Talking Tuesday from the Carolina Ale House here in Columbia. We'll see you then.